Welcome to MarcusG.tv. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. I'm a chef on a mission. Today's mission is about being athletic and keeping up with your kids. I get a lot of comments from other parents that, like, Marcus, you and your kids are so active. It's great to see a family that really, truly like works out together, runs together, bikes together, does sports together, plans your vacations around activities like that. They go, what's the secret to doing that? I get that question a lot. What's the secret to getting my kids active? And some parents say, to me, what's the secret for me to keep up with my kids? Because you see one or two scenarios all the time. You typically don't see really active parents and super active kids, which I'm blessed with. Super active, very fit, very athletic kids. I mean, athletic beyond the norm. My son ran his first half marathon at 6 years old. So most kids don't do that. He ran a series of King of the Mountain races last year, 65 miles in 5 races over the toughest mountain challenges here in the Hudson Valley, and was the youngest kid ever to get the trophy for doing all the races. He runs a 6:15-minute mile. My daughter's no slouch on track either. When they did the timed miles in school, my daughter came back and told me her time. I was like, oh, that's great. I go, where were you in the class? She goes, I was second. I was second for the girls. She goes, no, second overall. And, so my kids are really, my daughter rides horses. She loves the bike. They love to ski. So the secret here, I'm not sure if this is the answer that everybody's looking for. Right from the day one with my kids, fitness was extremely important, and we were active. I mean, we would hike. My wife and I would go hiking with our daughter in the backpack, and we would hike up, the Sand Dunes National Monument in Colorado. We'd go hiking all over the place. So it was just normal that she was, from a very young age, exposed to us being outdoors. My son, my son is on his, he's turning 11. He's on his probably 5th or 6th bike. He just got a road bike. Just spent some pretty penny on getting him a road bike, because him and I went and did 30 miles the other day on our very first road bike excursion. I've never had a road bike, so I bought one too, and we went out. Both of us got them for our birthday presents. My son was 2 years old. He saw my daughter ride a bike, and he got up and rode the bike. He had training wheels on for, I think, 2 days, and at literally 2 years old, he was on that bike going without training wheels. But before that, he was in the caddy of the bike, because I used to take my bike and have them go in the back of the bike in the little pull trailer, and they used to love that. I used to go around the neighborhood, and we used to go on rides like that. So for them, it's just normal that, hey, dad's on a bike, mom and dad are hiking, I'm in the backpack. And then once my son could ride a bike, I would run 2-3 miles, and he'd follow me on the bike, 1 mile, 2 miles. And the next progression was, Dad, I want to run. I want to run, Dad, I want to run. So, of course, I'm not going to force you, but of course, you want to run? Let's go running. At 5 years old, a week after his 5th birthday, he ran his he ran his first 5K in 36 minutes. But beyond them being active like that, there's a lot of other things you have to give them the right fuel. You have to really give your kids the proper nutrition. You can't feed them donuts and Doritos and expect them to go run a 5K at 5 years old, or a half marathon at 6, or even a 5K at 10 years old. Because if your kids are couch potatoes and eating donuts and cookies and stuff, it's going to make it a lot harder for them to do that. So what do we do for nutrition? First of all, we don't vaccinate. I don't believe in vaccinations. My opinion is, and the research that I've seen other people do, is vaccination ties up your immune system. It can make you more sick. It stunts growth. There's all kinds of side effects, and there's tons and tons of books out there. So we don't buy into that whole medical propaganda of that. My kids have really never been to the doctor for a sick visit. My daughter had Lyme disease when she was 6, so that was a sick visit. And my son just had some kind of induced winter eczema that we went to get it diagnosed at the doctor. Other than that, 2 kids, 13 and 11, 2 sick visits their whole life, and that's been it. Okay, nutrition was key. I mean, My kids were breastfed a long time. My son up until like 17 months. We're vegetarians, so I don't give them burgers and hot dogs and chicken fingers that are fried. In fact, I really don't encourage fried foods at all. We don't have a fryer at my restaurant, so it's not like they can say, oh, I want to order French fries. When my kids come to the restaurant and eat after school, or they take lunch to school, it's hummus, it's a salad. Sometimes it's a vegan pizza of some sort, or maybe a goat cheese pizza, because goat cheese was the only dairy that they actually had growing up, and it was very sparse in between. But I figure, if they're going to eat cheese, let's give them goat cheese, and instead of giving them pasteurized cow's milk cheeses. And they never had a glass of milk. In fact, my kids ate a lot of raw food. My son would come home from nursery school at 4 years old, 5 years old, and it was normal for him to eat 4 or 5 apples at a time as a snack. Instead of eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, or instead of, eating stuff, like bologna sandwiches or anything, even if it was some kind of bread sandwich, I never gave that as really options to them. So my son is a to the T healthy eater. My daughter, she's older, and sometimes I don't know what she's eating sometimes, but she's still a very good eater, and they both love vegetables, they both love fruits. Breakfast for us is cutting up a cantaloupe, cutting up 6 to 10 grapefruits, pint of blackberries or blueberries or strawberries, maybe a couple mangoes, and I'll cut that up in the morning. They'll help, and that's breakfast out on the table is what we do. So we don't do eggs, we don't do bacon, and I worked very, very diligently with my kids, because in-laws and parents and other family members can really poison the culture, poison your teachings, because when they get your kids, oh, I'm grandma, so I can give your kids chocolate and this and that. I stood my ground from the very beginning. I'm like, no, this is the way we eat. This is the way we eat, and you have to respect the way we eat. They were trying to give them ice cream and everything. I'm like, no, we don't do that. So my kids understand that's just something we don't do. But you have to stand your ground with relatives and with whoever, and they're your kids. You have to teach them. So, I'm responsible for my kids and myself. When my kids are 18 years old and they move off, then they can, whatever they want to do, and what they want to raise a family, that's totally up to them. But for me, being a parent, an educated parent, some people say, well, I have to vaccinate because I have to take care of my kids, right? Well, no, I'm not going to vaccinate because I have to take care of my kids. I'm going to feed them the right foods because I'm going to take care of my kids. Because kids need to be taught, right? And we're there to teach them. So if you combine all that together, I have kids that are extremely active, and I mean really, really active, beyond the activity level of most adults or high school kids. Just because they're fit, they're energized, they feel good, and it's just part of our whole family culture. So when we go on vacation, we take the bikes with us. We go skiing. We do things like that where we plan a trip around an activity. We went to Montreal, we biked every single day, all day long. Why take a subway? Why take a car? We had the car in the parking garage. We went there to bike. It's a very bike-friendly city. We picked Montreal because it is a bike-friendly city, and it had great restaurants, so we could all go to great restaurants. My kids, speaking of restaurants, when we took them out to eat, they never, ever, ever ordered off a kids menu. They never got butter and pasta and butter. They never got a grilled cheese. They never got mac and cheese. They never got any of that. We taught them to eat real food, like hummus, to enjoy hummus, which is, garbanzo beans and olive oil, and tahini, which is very healthy for you, and lemon juice. So that's what we taught them. It was never an option. I see other kids, that come to my restaurant, or we go out with other people, and their kids, go right for the kids menu, and it's pasta and butter. And that's just a nutritional disaster. And so you can't expect to give your kids that kind of food and then expect, well, why aren't they active? I mean, so, it's a combination of everything, but really it's a lot of diligence on the parents' part to really enforce that mission of eating healthy and enforce the mission we are a healthy and active family and keep it going. I mean, my son, he's wanted a road bike for 2 years, so I bought him a used one 2 years ago, a Trek 330, and I got a good deal on it. He rode it for a little while, and I realized, it was a good first bike for him, but now we went out and spent, some decent money, and he worked. He's a hard worker. He mowed lawns, he shoveled driveways, and he saved his money. He saved his birthday money, so my wife and I and grandparents, we chipped in the last couple $100 for him to be able to get this road bike, and he worked for it, and he's very proud of it. And, for a 10-year-old to spend $800 on a road bike, you know, most of that money he saved himself. You know, he was very proud, and I was very proud of him. My kids wanted a Mac computer 2 years ago, so they saved bottles. They saved nickel deposits here in New York. They saved and went every week to return bottles, and you know, the computer cost, I don't know, $1,100, $1,200. They saved $800 by collecting bottles, and my wife and I said, good job, and we chipped in the rest. So, you know, so I've always taught my kids, you know, it's not a free ride. You need to work, you know, for what you want, and, you know, you have to be active and you have to eat right, and that's just the way I've raised my kids from day one. And I'm very proud of my kids, and it sure shows. So hopefully that answers the question of how to get active kids. But in parents, you've got to do the same. You've got to be active with them. You know, I see parents on the sideline. I see their kids out there playing sports, and I see the parents on the sideline. The parents just aren't into it. Parents, you've got to set the example. You've got to lead. You've got to show them, and that's what you have to instill in them. You have to get out there with them. You know, and parents, if you're not in shape and you're not, you know, doing out there with your kids, your kids are going to keep you young. So take advantage of that. You know, I love going out with my son and running 2 hours and biking 2 hours and doing these kind of things and biking to waterfalls on our mountain bikes and go swimming. That kind of stuff keeps me young, and it keeps them, you know, it keeps them in a great relationship with us parents. So just go do it, like Nike says. Just go do it. Get your kids involved. Feed them right. Be a good role model and be in there with them. I'm Chef Marcus Guiliano. If you like this video, click like, subscribe, pass it on. Thanks for watching.